Good morning, Andover. My name is Mrs. Savino, and I have the great pleasure and privilege to serve as the Director of Alumni Engagement. The charge of my office is to keep you connected to the school and to each other for a lifetime. A lifetime. You are part of a family of 25,000 Andover alumni around the globe, men and women who went to Phillips and Abbott academies. Like you, they are good and kind people who think about excellence and service to others. And today, we will celebrate 3 of them. To introduce the award, I will pass it to a volunteer and chair of the Andover Alumni Award of Distinction, Emily Bernstein, class of '86.
Good morning, virtual Andover. I'm Emily Bernstein, class of '86 and parent of a son in the class of 21, who I hope is paying attention this morning. I'm also chair of the Alumni Award of Distinction Committee. In your day-to-day life as students, it's probably easy to forget that what you're being prepared for is life after Andover, after college, wherever your lives may take you, and also being prepared to become meaningful members of society. When you leave here, you'll become members of a smaller society as well, alumni of Andover. And as alumni, you will always be able to look back on your experiences here and reflect on what those experiences have meant and how they've led you to where you end up. Today is the annual Finis Origine Pendit all-school meeting. It's intended to feature distinguished Abbott and Andover alumni who will share their insights, perspectives, and lessons they've learned from school and beyond. Neither Abbott nor Andover would claim credit for all of an alum's achievements. However, if indeed the end truly does depend upon the beginning, we have to assume that this great school has played a role in the lives of the remarkable alumni you're going to hear from today. In today's all-school meeting, we will present the 2020 Andover Alumni Award of Distinction. The award was inaugurated in 2012. Its purpose is to recognize and honor alumni of Phillips Academy or Abbott Academy who've served with distinction and exhibited leadership in the arts, sciences, letters, humanities, and other significant fields of endeavor. Each year, the awards committee must choose amongst scores of worthy nominees, and I can assure you it's not an easy task. For the 3 awardees being recognized today, their Phillips Academy experience was a beginning. The stories of their journeys from those beginnings to where they've ended up are remarkable. And unfortunately, they won't be able to tell you all of it today in the all-school meeting. The Award of Distinction Committee is delighted that the 2020 recipients will be introduced and formally presented their awards by students. I'd like to congratulate the awardees and now happily turn over the program to the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bernstein. Good morning. My name is Saffron Agrawal. I'm a member of the class of 2021, and I have the honor of introducing Susan Chira today. Ms. Chira, class of '76, is the editor-in-chief of the Marshall Project, a nonprofit news organization that focuses on issues of criminal justice. Prior to accepting this leadership role in 2019, Ms. Chira spent nearly 40 years at the New York Times as a correspondent, editor, senior executive, and one of the longest-serving foreign editors in the newspaper's history. After graduating from Phillips Academy, Ms. Chira went on to earn a BA in History and East Asian Studies in 1980 from Harvard University, where she was a reporter and president of the Harvard Crimson. Ms. Chira began her career at the New York Times in 1981 as a trainee on the Metro desk before being promoted to reporter in 1982. Her excellent reporting led to her promotion to deputy foreign editor from 1997 to 1999, and later foreign editor from 2004 to 2011. She went on to serve as the newspaper's assistant managing editor for news, deputy executive editor, and most recently, senior correspondent and editor for gender issues. In 2018, Ms. Chira was part of a Times team that won the Pulitzer Prize for Public Service for coverage of workplace sexual harassment. That same reporting received the 2018 Gerald Loeb Award for investigative journalism and helped spark the Me Too movement. As an editor, Ms. Chira supervised coverage that won 5 Pulitzer Prizes. She managed more than 50 correspondents for an editor and won several Pulitzers specifically for international reporting. Ms. Chira created a mentoring program within the Times to help new reporters develop their journalistic careers. Additionally, she is the author of A Mother's Place, Rewriting the Rules of Motherhood, which explores the role of working mothers. When Ms. Chira joined the Marshall Project as an editor-in-chief in spring 2019, she looked to focus on investigative reporting, especially in regard to issues stemming from race, ethnicity, and gender. Since then, the Marshall Project has won several awards, including an Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Video, 2 National Magazine Awards for Best Website and Digital Innovation, and a 2020 National Headliner Award for digital presentation of a single features topic, and an Izzy Award for the Marshall Project's News Inside publication, which brought news to incarcerated readers. I had the great fortune of spending an evening with Ms. Chira in 2019 when she returned to PA as part of the Elizabeth Stewart Phelps Author Series, sponsored by the Abbott Academy Fund. It is with great pleasure to present the 2020 Alumni Award of Distinction to Susan Chira, Phillips Academy Class of 1976, for her contributions to journalism.
Thank you so much, Saffron, and it's such a pleasure to be speaking to you virtually. I wanted to say how grateful, frankly surprised and honored I am to get this award. I really was completely taken by surprise, and I'm delighted. I'm very conscious of your time, so I wanted to talk a little bit about my own career in journalism and what Andover helped teach me and imbue me with as I went through my own life and profession. Number one, I want to say that, as a journalist, these are really perilous times. I have always wanted, and this is something that Andover, also carries in its heart. I've always wanted to be clear-eyed, to understand facts, and to even go beyond facts and understand the origins and complexities of the modern day and present them in a nuanced and fair way through journalism. Journalism is a tool for accountability. When you write about areas that some people would rather keep hidden, you have a chance to let citizens judge what should be done about them. And so issues of war and peace, of famine, starvation, of oppression in the international coverage has taken up a lot of my career, but also issues of race, gender, and income inequality. All of these have threaded my work and my interests as I've both been a reporter and a leader of reporters and a leader in trying to shape a journalistic agenda. And it's been very, very helpful to me to have gone back and forth in my own life between writing and editing others' writing and leading organizations to think about how best to serve the public and how best to understand what to focus on and what to hold to the light. And I have, in my own career, spent 40 years at a journalistic behemoth, the New York Times, where I was honored to serve. And I've now moved into the scrappy and fascinating world of nonprofit journalism, which I believe one of the reasons I left the Times as much as I loved it is that I feel that journalism is under siege, and trying to find ways to move beyond the profit model, to have journalism supported by philanthropy and membership and contributions is an essential part of keeping journalism alive. I was thinking a lot about what PA helped me understand and learn that kind of accompanied me in my career in journalism. And I would say there are a few things: clarity of thinking, clarity of expression, tight, eloquent, forceful writing. I don't know about you, but when I had my sort of earliest writing course, they didn't allow us to use any variant of the verb to be, to encourage active verbs. We like this in journalism. And the other thing is, because of the small classes and the emphasis on expression and debate, you learned sort of quick on your feet speaking and presentation, which I've found to be extremely helpful in conveying and advocating for the ideas that I talk about. Of course, the values of social engagement, curiosity, exploration, and lifetime learning. One of the great things about journalists is you always are exploring things you don't know. You get to essentially be a student your whole life. And that may sound weird, but I guess one reason I ended up as PA is I like to learn and I like to be pushed and to push myself. One of the other issues that PA taught me was really about being self-confident. As I was then a girl and a woman, I actually was admitted to Andover in 1973 in the first class that accepted women into Andover. And we were essentially integrating an all-boys school. And, I was not shy. And this made me even less so because much as I love Andover and honor it, I think in 73, it wasn't fully ready for us girls. It didn't fully understand our equality and our worth because it had been a place that had, honestly, I think not seen some of its neighbor girls in as equals. And we soon showed that we were intellectual equals and social equals, and it was really heady and exciting, and really, and I think that sort of stayed with me because in my career I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of firsts as a woman. I actually was the part of a group of women at the Times who I think really began seeing the doors open and were able to rise through the ranks. And I'm actually the first and only woman to have served as what was then called foreign editor, now international editor. And I served at a time of war. 2004, we were in the midst of Iraq and Afghanistan through 2011, the Arab Spring, and times of terrible terrorist attacks and concern with threats to the United States and the world. And so I think it was very interesting to be a woman supervising a largely male foreign correspondent corps who didn't care at all that I was a woman. We just were editor and reporter. And I went to battlegrounds and saw what our correspondents were experiencing and what our military members were experiencing. And it was a humbling and a lifetime enriching experience. And I would say that, through my whole life as a journalist and a leader, I have tried to advocate for people breaking barriers, for women, for journalists of color, and for those who don't necessarily come from privilege to have a seat at the table. I was so honored to be part of the team that looked at sexual harassment. I chose to examine women, largely women of color, who worked at an auto factory in Chicago, who had endured many decades of gender, sexual harassment and racial harassment. And in my new role at the Marshall Project, where racial discrimination is at the center of problems with our criminal justice system, I feel I'm carrying on that mission at a moment when we're examining our national complicity in racial discrimination and racially biased administration of criminal justice. So I want to thank Andover for the passion for mission that it helped stir and sustain in me, and to thank you all again for this remarkable honor.
Thank you so much, Ms. Chira. My name is Riggs McGrath, class of 2021, and it is my honor to introduce General Barry McCaffrey. General Barry McCaffrey graduated from Phillips Academy in 1960 and continued to the United States Military Academy at West Point, where he earned a bachelor's degree of science. He then earned a master's degree in American government from American University and attended Harvard University's National Security Fellows Program, as well as Harvard Business School's Executive Education Program. General McCaffrey served in the United States Army for 32 years, retiring in 1996 as a 4-star general. At retirement, he was the most highly decorated general still serving. Having been awarded 3 Purple Hearts, he was wounded in combat 3 times, 2 Distinguished Service Crosses, the nation's second highest award for valor, and 2 Silver Stars for valor. For 5 years after leaving the military, General McCaffrey served as director of the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy. Upon leaving government service, he joined West Point as the Bradley Distinguished Professor of International Security Studies from 2001 to 2005, and an adjunct professor of International Security Studies from 2006 to 2010. He previously served as an associate professor in the Department of Social Sciences at West Point from 1973 to 1976, teaching American government and comparative politics. General McCaffrey is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, as well as the chair of the Addiction Policy Forum Advisory Board. He has served on the boards of several corporations in the engineering, design, technology, healthcare, and service sectors. General McCaffrey is currently president of his own consulting firm and serves as a national security and terrorism analyst for NBC News. In 2015, General McCaffrey was selected for the Doughboy Award, the highest honor the Chief of Infantry can bestow on any infantryman, for outstanding contributions to the United States Army Infantry. In 2010, he was honored as a distinguished graduate by the United States Military Academy's West Point Association of Graduates. In 2007, he was inducted into the Ranger Hall of Fame at the United States Army Infantry School in Fort Benning, Georgia. In 2004, Catholic University of America awarded General McCaffrey the James Cardinal Gibbons Medal, its highest honor, to recognize his distinguished and meritorious service to the United States. In 1992, he was awarded the U.S. Department of State's Superior Honor Award for his participation on the principal negotiation team for the START II Nuclear Arms Control Treaty. Along with serving on Andover's Alumni Council, General McCaffrey was the keynote speaker on campus at Andover and the military's 2014 Veterans Day program and dinner. General McCaffrey, thank you for your service. It is now my great pleasure to present the 2020 Alumni Award of Distinction to General Barry McCaffrey, Phillips Academy class of 1960, for his contribution as a military leader and his commitment to public service.
Well, Riggs, thanks very much for that very generous introduction, and best wishes to you as you apparently head off to the armed forces also. So we wish you the best. Look, a couple of thoughts. First of all, to recognize our new head of school, Dr. Kington. It's such an honor to have a leader of your caliber and commitment come to Andover. Best wishes. It's going to be a tough transition, I'm sure, with the dreaded COVID virus on campus, but we're very grateful you've taken charge of the school. Also, Jenny Savino, thanks very much for being the go-to person over the years. You're such a terrific asset to all of us who are alumnus. Judy Davis, thanks for pulling together the seminar that Christine and I had last week. And to Emily Bernstein, it's such an honor to be recognized, and thank you for chairing that committee. Look, some very brief remarks. I was 3 years in high school in Paris, in a Department of Defense school. Was early admissions at Johns Hopkins to go off to be a doctor, which I thought is what I wanted to do. My dad said, you look like you're 14, you act like you're 12, you're not going to university. So I was very grateful to be accepted at Andover as a scholarship boy. And it had a profound influence on my entire life. Principally, I might add, the faculty. I got there as the smartest boy in the world and rapidly found I was grossly behind in academics. In mathematics, I was lost. And so Andover, with its resources, put me in a class of one, me, and brought me back up to speed. I remember the English classes as being absolutely magical. My English literature professor was the coach of the Andover football team and a World War II veteran, had a huge impact on all of us. The physics classes were absolutely magical. In Spanish, I did well, and so Andover put me in a class of one studying Spanish literature. So it was a real opportunity in terms of education. The notion that the end starts at the beginning is quite true, and the foundation of learning that I got at Andover stayed with me the rest of my life. I might add, during the rest of my life, after 4 years at West Point, I had 5 years of postgraduate education, one place or another. But as I look back on it, clearly the most influential keystone to my personal development was my 1 year at Andover. Two heads of school, Barbara Landis Chase and John Palfrey, worth just taking note of. I think one of the Vietnam War is this terrible divide in the United States, and to some extent still baked into my generation. But both these heads of school reached out and brought the veterans and the national security issues back into Andover, which is entirely appropriate. And I'm very proud of the influence they had on that. Look, one final note, Andover was a foundation for me that served me all my life. I ran into Andover boys like President George H.W. Bush. The Exeter gang always would emerge from the shadows and tell me that they were sorry I hadn't gone to Exeter. But look, let me just sort of add a note for the students out there as you're about to launch on your own life of service. A lot of things are solitary, poetry, a lot of, academia is a solitary pursuit. But those of you who are going to end up joining institutions, complex organizations and business of the armed forces, or nonprofits, or public service in politics. 3 observations. I do a lot of talking in MBA programs around the country. The most prized asset is, are you willing to work hard? There's tons of brilliant people out there. Are you willing to work hard? The second, I would argue, is be objective when you're looking at problems. Be objective. And then the final one, in my view, is fundamental to successful service in public or private life. Be trusted. It's not just integrity, it's not just keeping your word, it's create an impression around other people that they can trust you as not just a person of your word, but trust in terms of support. So again, Riggs, thanks for that introduction. Thanks to Andover for this recognition. It's a great honor, and I'm delighted to be part of this great school's legacy.
Thank you, General McCaffrey. Hi, everyone. My name is Naya, and I'm a member of the class of 2021. On campus, I'm involved with the Community Engagement Office and coordinate a program called CIS Boys Mentoring at the Boys and Girls Club in Lawrence. I am so honored to introduce Christine Balling today. After graduating from Phillips Academy in 1986, Christine Balling earned a BA in English Literature at Barnard College and an Executive MA in National Security Affairs at the Institute of World Politics. In 2009, she founded Fundación ECCO, a Colombian registered nonprofit promoting democracy and youth leadership that aims to discourage people from joining extremist groups such as the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, the FARC. In running Fundación ECCO, Balling executed projects in areas where the FARC insurgency operated. Working in cooperation with the Colombian Army, Air Force, and National Police, Balling received grants from USAID, U.S. Special Operations Command South, the International Organization for Migration, and Spirit of America. Over the course of 6 years, the non-CIBI team of Colombia grew to include hundreds of young people who participated in Fundación ECCO projects. Balling served as a subject matter expert to the U.S. Special Operations Command South Commander and partnered with U.S. Army Civil Affairs teams downrange in Colombia from 2013 to 2014. In this role, she interviewed numerous female demobilized FARC and ELN, National Liberation Army fighters, and worked with the Colombian military's demobilization group to create the first tactical guide on individual demobilization. In 2015, Balling was pinned by the Colombian Minister of Defense with the Colombian Armed Forces Medal of Distinguished Service. In 2016 and 2017, Balling organized and led 2 solo expeditions to Iraqi Kurdistan to deliver humanitarian aid and embed with a company of female Yazidi Peshmerga soldiers who survived the 2014 genocide by ISIS. During one of the trips, Balling delivered art supplies to the Dabaga refugee camp's makeshift kindergarten in the name of the non-CIBI team of Colombia. Balling has published articles in Foreign Affairs, The National Interest, Small Wars Journal, and TheHill.com. She has lectured at the Escuela Superior de Guerra in Bogotá, the National Defense University's William J. Perry Center, the Institute of World Politics, and Harvard Summer School. In 2019, Balling testified as an expert witness at a Senate Foreign Relations Subcommittee hearing on U.S.-Colombia relations. Balling was a senior fellow for Latin American Affairs at the American Foreign Policy Council from 2015 to 2020. Currently, she is Director of Federal Programs for RSTOR Inc. and SciLabs, as well as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Universidad El Bosque in Bogota. Balling has previously served as a member of Andover's Alumni Council and the Andover and the Military Committee. It is with great pleasure to present the 2020 Alumni Award of Distinction to Christine Balling, Phillips Academy Class of 1986, for her contributions to non-civi and public service.
Wow, well, thank you very much for that kind introduction, Naya. In truth, Andover has always been a really big part of my life. My late husband, Juan Mario Lacerna, and I actually met at our 20th Andover reunion. We were married by my dear friend and most favorite Andover teacher, the Reverend Zader. Juan Mario was Colombian, which is how I ended up in Colombia. Now, quite honestly, I was a pretty mediocre Spanish student at Andover. In fact, my first Spanish teacher, Angel Rubio, told me I spoke Spanish as though I had a mouthful of Doritos. Very damning. Well, years later, I ended up doing what I consider my life's most important work in Spanish. So never give up on yourself. My foundation's motto was non-civi, and the video you're about to see is of one of my most ambitious projects. Working with 3 branches of the Colombian military, we airlifted 1,000 non-civi soccer balls and non-civi teddy bears to kids living in an area where the FARC was very active. Now, unbeknownst to me, the operation nearly failed. The day before we were to execute, the villagers decided that they didn't want any of their kids to be seen at the army outpost where we were to distribute the gifts. They were afraid that the FARC would retaliate. And so the kids, the members of the non-civi team who lived there, donned their t-shirts, here it is, and went up and down the mountain, going door to door, insisting that the project was their non-civi operation, that no one should be afraid and that everyone should come. And as it happened, they did. Very much an indicator of the power of non-civi. And anyway, thank you very much for this tremendous honor.
En coordinación con la Fundación ECO, el Ejército y la Policía, se vino desarrollando esta actividad, organizando con el fin de lograr el objetivo, que es ver a nuestros niños con una satisfacción que reciban de parte de las fuerzas militares, que no tengan ese pensamiento o la idea de que nosotros solamente estamos para la guerra, sino también para ayudarles a su desarrollo y que tengan un país pues, más generoso y en paz.
Ha sido un trabajo incansable lo que se ha llevado a cabo con la Fuerza Aérea, nuestro Ejército Nacional. Una jurisdicción tan grande como es el sur del Tolima, golpeada por la violencia y grupos terroristas, en donde nuestro trabajo ha sido mancomunado para el trabajo preventivo de los niños y niñas que habitan en este sur del Tolima. Nuestro trabajo preventivo para cada uno de estos niños es quitarles el pensamiento de que los grupos terroristas nos van a llevar a futuro, y debemos cambiar este pensamiento formándolos de forma deportiva y de forma intelectual.
Pues desde hace un tiempo, 2 años más o menos, la doctora Cristín tuvo la idea de formar una fundación que se llama Non-Civi. Somos una fundación que trabajamos por un bien común, por el beneficio de todos. Viene elaborando parques en municipios o pueblos que han sido afectados por la violencia. Entonces, con estos parques queremos que los niños tengan una felicidad y que su centro de atracción sea jugar, ser felices y no pensar en que hay gente mala, que hay guerra, sino tratar de buscar la paz.
Let me add my thanks to our distinguished alumni, Susan, Barry, and Christine, for joining us today. It was great to end with that video. Let me also thank our student speakers for taking on the public role of introducing our special guests and telling their remarkable stories. These recipients are quite different from each other, yet they share two things. First, they spend time in their lives on the Andover campus that were transformative experiences. And second, that they found careers and not just jobs, and they followed their passions. Our school seal says the words finis origine pendet. The end depends on the beginning, which is our theme for today's all-school meeting. And this is part of your beginning. May you use your time at Andover to explore your passion as these individuals have. Now, inevitably, you're asked by your loved ones, how are you doing? You're probably asked that a lot. What are we doing? What do you love about Andover? How do you answer that question? I hope you answer it with something that you have done that has excited you, whether it's journalism or economics class or public service, something that ignites your passion. So to our alumni that joined me today, thank you for modeling a life of hard work and doing what you love. I'll end to remind everyone by reminding everyone of three things: wear your mask, maintain social distance, don't forget your testing. All school meeting is dismissed. Have a great week.